Chris Eubank Jr. knocks out Tony Jetta in the second round. Total mismatch, some joke business. Eubank did as he pleased. So can't really gauge how much of a difference Adam Booth is going to make, or how much he has made so far. I mean, you can't expect much of a difference. It's only been a couple weeks. It's going to take a few fights for him to make a full transition. That's if Adam Booth gets the space and the control that he needs to be able to change or modify Chris Eubank's style the way that he wants to, because he's obviously got Eubank Sr. breathing down his neck. So we'll see how well that relationship works out. Some people are already predicting that the Booth-Eubank relationship won't last that long because Eubank Sr. is so difficult to deal with. But we'll see. Anyway, the Jetta performance, I'm sure most of you seen it. If you didn't see it, you didn't miss much. All I can say is, against this level of opposition, Eubank Jr. is able to plant his feet a lot more and get more power into the punches. Against Chudinov and Billy Joe Saunders, he wasn't getting as much power in his shots. And I don't say that just because of the effect that his punches had on Tony Jetta. No, I say that because of the way he's delivering his shots. You can tell that he's planting his feet a lot more when he's fighting guys like Jetta. And if you see the fight, you may agree with it. But from what I saw in there, even when his shots were hitting Jetta on the shoulders and the gloves, they sounded harder than normal Chris Eubank Jr. shots. So he was really loading up with all his power and cracking this guy as hard as he could. He dropped him in the first. In the second round, he put a flurry together. Jetta was getting his head rocked around like a rag doll, and Howard Foster stepped in and stopped it. Some of you probably think it was premature. Some of my subscribers seem to be bloodthirsty when it comes to stoppages. But Jetta was totally overmatched. I mean, you know, this guy's like a journeyman who's pushing 40, who's never done anything. He's just a club fighter in the United States. This guy's never going to do anything in boxing. So the referee, Howard Foster, on this occasion, mercifully stopped the action because Jetta could have got himself seriously hurt. So this fight really didn't tell us anything at all, other than Eubank Jr. can punch harder when he feels confident enough to, and I guess when there isn't that much coming back at him, he can plant his feet and punch harder. We'll see how the Spike O'Sullivan fight turns out. That's going to be a real fight. Spike O'Sullivan really fancies the job. He believes he can not only beat Chris Eubank Jr., but knock him out. And Spike O'Sullivan, from what I've seen of him, is more consistent with his power. He hasn't been fighting a great level of opposition either, but I think Spike O'Sullivan maybe is a bit more naturally heavy-handed than Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. can punch really hard when he thinks about it and when he decides to do it. Whereas Spike O'Sullivan seems to be the kind of guy who's more naturally heavy-handed. You don't really have to think about, right, I'm going to punch hard now. The shots just come out hard anyway. He's got that natural aptitude for punching hard, that natural leverage. He doesn't really have to think about it. He's not as fast as Eubank Jr., not as athletic, but he's a strong guy. We'll see how that fight. I'm very, very interested in the Spike O'Sullivan, Chris Eubank Jr. fight. A lot of people are saying, a lot of people I've been, coming across, commenting online and whatnot, they're saying that Eubank Jr. is going to blast Spike O'Sullivan out easily and it won't be competitive. I doubt that, to be honest with you. I think the Spike O'Sullivan fight will be competitive, and I think Eubank Jr. is going to have his hands full in a major way against Spike O'Sullivan. If he proves me wrong, I'll be happy, because up until now, Eubank Jr. against anyone with a pulse has not shown me anything that impressive, to be honest. He was poor against Billy Joe Saunders. Yes, he made the fight close in the end, and Saunders is a good boxer, but I'm talking about his technique, his speed, and all that kind of stuff against Billy Joe Saunders was poor. He looked very raw, amateurish against Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, he didn't look refined or polished at all. He was really disappointing from a technical point of view. And against Chudinov, he was a bit better, but still didn't look that great. Didn't look that sharp. His technique didn't look that nice. I haven't seen Eubank Jr. fight a live opponent yet and look impressive. Maybe he'll do it against Spike O'Sullivan. Maybe this will be his breakthrough fight. again, a lot of people talking about Eubank Senior. One of the problems I think for Junior is that Senior puts too much pressure on him. I think that's one of the reasons that he froze in the first Billy Joe Saunders fight. I'm saying first fight as if there's been a rematch. There hasn't, but I think that's one of the reasons that he froze early on. And they can say all this stuff that he didn't pace himself correctly and all this business. BS. I know what a fighter looks like when he freezes, and he froze early on against Billy Joe Saunders. His corner was screaming at him to throw punches. The guy wasn't throwing any punches. And when he did throw punches, it was all wild and sloppy, like an amateur, fighting in a little novice tournament. So I've seen fighters freeze so many times in real life, and that's what it looked like to me. And I think part of that is because Eubank Senior put so much pressure on him. But according to Eubank Senior, he's acknowledged that he puts a lot of pressure on Eubank Jr. and that he says he's going to give the reins in terms of the training 100% to Adam Booth. I find that hard to believe. I think Eubank Sr. will still be, there all the time, breathing down Adam Booth's neck, talking to Junior and telling him this, telling him that. And one thing that's good about Adam Booth, because Adam Booth is a decent trainer, but I've never been convinced about him from a technical point of view. But one thing that Adam Booth is very good at is instilling confidence in his fighters. Quiet, calm confidence. Well, maybe not quiet, but calm confidence anyway. His fighters have this calm, confident, almost arrogance about them. That's what he's able to instill in his fighters. Maybe not someone like Andy Lee, but certainly when you're talking about David Haye, George Groves, when the Booth camp had both of them in it, they had this calm confidence about them. And Adam Booth, and they all used to talk the same. When you would see an interview with Adam Booth, David Haye, or Groves, they would all talk in the same kind of way and use the same phrases and have the same demeanor. This is an Adam Booth, trait that he has. He has this calm, kind of arrogant confidence. He's very good from a psychological point of view. As I mentioned in many other videos, he's apparently he has a degree in sports psychology or something like that. And I can see that in the way that he trains his fighters from a mental point of view. So for him to be effective with that psychological aspect, he's going to need Chris Eubank Sr. to take a back seat, not only in terms of instructions, as far as training and fighting and technical instructions, but also psychologically, he's going to need to take a back seat. He's just going to have to be there just as a promotional tool, really. If he gets too involved in the training of Junior, either from a physical or psychological standpoint, I personally think it's going to be detrimental. I think his dad is far too overbearing. He needs to let Junior be his own man. Just use Senior at press conferences and for interviews and all that, because he's a colorful, funny character. The same way that you've got Ruben Guerrero. Ruben Guerrero, does he train Robert? Yeah, he does train Robert. And also Angel Garcia trains Danny Garcia. But I would, the job that Angel Garcia and Ruben Guerrero do for their sons in terms of promotion, I think that's a good thing. But in terms of the training side of it, particularly when it comes to Eubank Senior, I think he should just stay way out of the training. Just, do all the talking and all the funny stuff that the public like or the public loathe, whatever. It gets publicity and sells tickets. Do all that, but stay away from the training. That's just my view. Anyway, this video's lasted way longer than the fight itself. Let me know what you felt about Chris Eubank Jr.'s performance. How do you think he'll do against Spike O'Sullivan? Do you think Spike O'Sullivan is a serious threat to Eubank Jr.? Do you think he's going to give Eubank Jr. all he can handle, as I do? Or do you think that Eubank Jr. is going to take care of him with relative ease? Let me know in the comment section below. It's your boy HAPLESS, I'm out.